Welcome to the virtual office hours. My name is John Fia. I chair the history department here at Messiah and teach American history. Our trusty producer, Megan Piette, is behind the camera. The founding fathers are with us as usual. And a special guest. As you've been noticing throughout the course of this spring 2015 series that we've been doing on a new kind of history department here at Messiah, we've been interviewing some key players in the history department and some faculty and other people outside the history department who have helped us to really, I think, re-energize the department and set us down a slightly different path. So our guest today is Dr. David Pettegrew. Some of you in the digital history world know him as the director of the Digital Harrisburg Project. Is that a fair title? Fair title? Digital. Yeah, Director of the Digital Harrisburg Project. We'll talk a lot about that. He'll be with us actually today for 2 episodes. He also, in another life here in the history department, is our ancient, classical, late antiquity courses in that period of time, so he does double duty here at Messiah. But he's also spearheaded much of the digital initiatives that we've been trying to put forward here in the history department. So David, welcome to the virtual office hours.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here and with the founding fathers.
That's right. And David said earlier how he had never been so close to the founding fathers before.
This is the first time.
So anyways, welcome.
Thanks.
Now we have tried, as you know very well, but our audience may not. You know, we've worked hard to sort of get ahead of the wave or maybe ride the wave of digital history and try to think about how to incorporate digital history both in terms of our pedagogy here at the college, but also in terms of, maybe even public history, sort of engaging the community. So why, we're a small college, right? We're a 7-person history department. Why digital history at a place like Messiah College?
Well, I think it's a good question. We're all, I think, just trying to ride the wave at this point.
Yeah.
Things are developing so quickly, so rapidly. The number of digital tools from day to day are just expanding. And so we're all just trying to keep up. Our goal with digital history here at Messiah is just to put a foothold into this world which is transforming all of us. We're talking about a highly connected world where 70% of the population have mobile devices around the world. Right. So we have a public audience in a way that we didn't 20 years ago. The world is at our doorstep. We're talking about new tools, new ways of doing history. And I think you remember as much as I do in graduate school using note cards.
That's right.
And then there's a transition to the laptop.
That's why I was taught to do research on note cards. In my research methods class on note cards. Right?
And I still have stacks of note cards in my office
so
from those days, and I don't think our students are as familiar with those old ways of doing things. The content of history is changing. We used to go to libraries and study physical books, and we still do that to some extent, but increasingly we're mining databases, we're using different applications like GIS to think about the past differently. And so we have to have a foothold in this. And I think a few years ago we had this conversation as a department that we needed to really embrace, engage, critique, think about the digital within the framework of studying history at Messiah. And so what we want to do with our students is give them chances to create digital products, in as much as they're also writing traditional papers, so that hasn't gone away, to connect with audiences and people elsewhere, the public in a new way through blogging and social media. We have a community at our doorstep, an urban community in Harrisburg, and then also the surrounding area that have interesting stories to tell. So we want to create connections to community, and then create new opportunities for collaboration and research. And
we'll talk about some of those here in a second. One of the pieces in the our digital initiative here, if you want to call it that, we don't really have a name for it, is to have a class on digital history. And you teach that class. Tell us a little bit about, you've taught it once now, you're teaching it again in the fall. Tell us a little bit about the class, how it went, some of the successes, some of the challenges.
Well, as I've been thinking about the class in the course of the last 6 months since I finished it. I think that what I delivered was a kind of alpha version of the class.
Mm-hmm.
So in the fall, when I teach it next, it will be in beta, and then maybe a year or two from then, we'll have like the full version. So it's very buggy, but it was also an experiment in teaching history in an entirely different way than we're used to. And I'd say the closest class here at Messiah in terms of framework would be historical methods, or maybe even archaeology, where students learn a set of practical skills. So in that class, the class was oriented around the question of what does it mean to practice history in the digital age? Okay. And so it's a broad question. So we had discussions about that at the beginning of class. We used Tony Weller's new book on digital history. Mm-hmm. We used Rosenzweig's book on Cleo Wired. So we had discussions in that, but really the centerpiece of the class was launching a project, the Digital Harrisburg Initiative, and using databases, exposure to GIS, although that didn't go as well as I would have liked. There just wasn't enough time. Digitizing documents and photographs. And launching public websites centered on Harrisburg's history.
Just real quick, what were some of the tools that the students used, digital tools, to do this?
Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Access, Omeka, which is a good tool for creating exhibits online. They were exposed to ArcGIS, although we didn't have much of a chance to use that. I hope to, next time I teach this class, I want to do a virtual tour of Harrisburg and use, there are apps that we can use to do that, but then also incorporate GIS in a more direct way.
Now, we're going to come back for a whole other episode to talk about the Digital Harrisburg project, which you just mentioned, in about a minute or so. Give us a little bit of the history of, or the birth of this project. And again, we'll devote a whole episode of the office hours in the next one to that. So just set us up for that. I got this question at Hack GIS Day, and I was completely stumped. Because I'm trying Harrisburg Area Community College.
At GIS Day, I was thinking, how exactly did this come about? Well, there have been a lot of factors at work, and so it's a confluence of these different factors. One is the conversations that the historians have had, that we need something. We need our students to work through this vague subject matter called digital history. Second was a broader set of discussions within the School of Humanities more generally over the course of a year about the need to create digital humanities. Third were specific conversations with people in the department like Professor Michael and LeGrand about the urban environment in our backyard.
And it worked out really well because we intersect with so many courses. I teach a course in Pennsylvania history. Jim LeGrand, who we heard earlier in the office hours, does urban history. Bernardo is an Asianist, but is very interested in this kind of digital stuff. So those conversations I think were very fruitful and sort of got the ball rolling.
But I think the digital history class was the real critical point because we actually launched a project at that point.
Exactly. So good stuff here. We'll hear more about the Digital Harrisburg in our next episode. But I think what David's laid out here is the sort of vision and how we're thinking about digital humanities here and digital history specifically at a school like Messiah College. So stay tuned. We will be back next week with David, and we'll talk more specifically about the Digital Harrisburg project. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.